John Wall, a five-time NBA All-Star, once one of the fastest guards the game had ever seen. At his peak, he was dropping 20 a night, leading the Wizards and making highlight plays that left fans speechless. But today, even while healthy, he's being paid $44 million by the Rockets just to sit at home. His contract has been called the worst in the NBA, and his career one of the most heartbreaking what-ifs of his generation. This is the story of John Wall, a story that's bigger than basketball. From a childhood surrounded by crime and struggle, to becoming the #1 pick, to signing a supermax deal, to watching it all slip away because of injuries. The rise to stardom, the fall to rock bottom, and the fight to find peace. Back in 2015, when he was an all-star starter, a reporter asked him what he'd be doing if he wasn't in the NBA. John didn't even blink. He said he'd probably be dead or in jail, just like his father. That's how real his story is. And that's why this video isn't just about basketball. It's about survival, pain, and resilience.
John Wall's story starts with pain most of us can't imagine. His father, John Wall Sr., had already served time for second-degree murder before John was even born. Just weeks after his first birthday, his dad was arrested again for armed robbery. Growing up, John only saw his father on Sundays during 1-hour prison visits. At 9 years old, his dad was released early, but only because he was dying of liver cancer. A month later, he was gone. John held on to the Randy Moss jersey his father wore when he passed, a constant reminder of love and loss. That heartbreak filled him with anger, and he turned into a wild child, carrying rage that could have destroyed him before basketball saved his life.
John's story didn't start with highlight reels and NBA contracts. It started in the chaos of North Carolina, where drugs, guns, and violence were normal. With no father and a mom working multiple jobs, he had too much free time and all the wrong influences. At 13, he was breaking into cars, stealing, and getting kicked off basketball teams because of his temper. Kids called him Crazy Jay, and he lived up to it, fighting, cussing, and even exchanging bullets in the streets. Twice he was shot at, once he fired back. By the time his family moved to Raleigh, John was already on his third high school in 3 years. At Broughton, he showed flashes of greatness, but was cut for his attitude, so he transferred to Word of God Christian Academy. There, he was still a foul-mouthed kid who lashed out at coaches and teammates whenever a call went against him. His mom, desperate to save him, even kicked him out and sent him to a group home, hoping he'd finally wake up. This was the storm before the rise, the chaos that shaped John Wall's fight to survive.
Nothing seemed to change until the day his mother made the ultimate sacrifice. With only $200 left, she shut off the electricity in their tiny apartment just so she could buy John a new pair of basketball shoes and send him to an AAU tournament. For 2 days, they lived without lights, but John had his chance. If my mom was going to do that for me, he later said, I was going to make sure she was satisfied for life. From that moment on, he stopped wasting energy cussing out refs or getting into fights. Instead, he channeled his fire into defense, locking down opponents with relentless pressure, the same intensity that would eventually land him on the NBA All-Defensive Team in 2015. With that shift, everything changed. By his junior year, he was ranked the 20th best player in the nation. By senior year, he was #1, putting up 20 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds a game. But the past never let go so easily. One night, John and a friend were caught breaking into an abandoned house. It was his first felony, so he escaped prison, but the scar on his record followed him. Still, his speed was undeniable, a blur who could cover the court in just 3.5 seconds, and colleges lined up. John had options everywhere, but he only wanted to play for John Calipari, the coach who had just taken Derrick Rose and Memphis to the NCAA title game. So in 2009, John Wall committed to Kentucky, where he joined a loaded roster with DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, and Patrick Patterson. In Lexington, he became a star overnight, leading the Wildcats in scoring and assists, averaging 16.6 times and 2 steals. He electrified college basketball with his speed and swagger. Even though Kentucky fell short in the Elite Eight, John Wall had already proven he was the best player in the country. A few months later, the Washington Wizards made it official, taking him first overall in the 2010 NBA draft, the beginning of a rise that looked unstoppable.
John Wall's rise felt like a movie. After dominating Summer League and winning MVP, he wasted no time proving he belonged in the NBA. Within his first 2 weeks, he posted a triple-double, a statement that the Wizards finally had their star. He finished second in Rookie of the Year voting behind Blake Griffin, averaging 16 points and 8 assists, and followed it up with almost identical numbers in year 2. But then came his first taste of bad luck. A knee injury forced him to miss 33 games, and without him, the Wizards crumbled to 5-28. The moment he returned, they went nearly .500, showing just how much he meant to the team. In year 3, Washington paired him with Bradley Beal, but the rest of the roster was thin, and they missed the playoffs again. By year 4, Wall had grown. After signing an $80 million extension, he set career highs, 19 points, 9 assists, and most importantly, he finally found consistency with his jumper, improving to 35% from deep. Gone was the reckless young guard who sprinted at defenders full speed. In his place was a smarter, more controlled floor general who knew when to attack and when to pull up. That season, he earned his first All-Star nod, even winning the slam dunk contest to put the league on notice. More importantly, Wall carried Washington back to the postseason, ending a 9-year drought and leading them to their first playoff series win since 2005, before bowing out in the conference semis. For the first time in years, the Wizards had hope, and Wall was the heartbeat of it all.
John Wall's rise was everything you could dream of. By 2015, he wasn't just an all-star, he was the face of the Washington Wizards and one of the top 5 point guards in the league. His speed was unmatched, his defense relentless, and his playmaking elite. He made the all-defensive team, averaged 10 assists per game for 3 straight years, and carried himself like a true franchise cornerstone. In the playoffs, he set a Wizards record with 17 assists in a single game against Toronto. And even though a hand injury cost him 3 games against Atlanta, everyone knew Washington had a star to believe in. After procedures on both knees, he came back even sharper, averaging 20 and 10 and passing all-time franchise records in assists. But team success didn't follow. They finished at .500 and missed the playoffs. Then came 2017, the peak of his career. Under new coach Scott Brooks, Wall reached another level. He dropped a career-high 52 points on Orlando, dished 20 assists against Chicago, and ended the season averaging 23 points, nearly 11 assists, and 2 steals a night. He made the All-NBA third team and finally silenced the doubters. With Beal by his side and a healthy starting 5, the Wizards were dangerous. In the playoffs, Wall delivered his masterpiece, 42 points, 8 assists, 4 steals to eliminate the Hawks. And then came the Celtics. That series was pure chaos. 7 games of heart and hustle. Down 2 points in Game 6, Wall hit the biggest shot of his life, a cold-blooded 3 to force Game 7. The arena erupted. The city believed. But in Game 7, he and the Wizards fell short. Even so, everyone saw what he was becoming. At 26 years old, John Wall was entering his prime, and the future looked unstoppable. All-NBA selections, more All-Star nods, maybe even a finals run. It all felt inevitable. The Wizards knew it too. A year before his max deal expired, they put everything on him. A 4-year, $170 million supermax contract. John Wall signed it with a smile, ready to take Washington to the promised land. Nobody could have predicted how quickly that dream would start to crumble. Injuries and the worst contract in the NBA. That's what John Wall's story became. But it didn't start that way. In 2018, even with nagging knee problems, Wall was still putting up nearly 20 points and 10 assists a night in 41 games, good enough to make another All-Star team. He willed the Wizards into the playoffs as an 8th seed, but they fell in 6 games to the Raptors. Still, Wall wasn't the problem. He was the only reason Washington even had a chance. Then came 2019, and this is where everything started to spiral. Wall was averaging 20 and 9, showing he could still lead, but recurring pain in his left heel forced him to shut it down for surgery. That's when disaster struck. First, an infection set in, threatening not only his career, but his leg. He later admitted doctors feared he might need an amputation. And before he could even process that,
He slipped at home, ruptured his Achilles, and suddenly the fastest guard in the league couldn't even walk. He missed the rest of that season, then the entire next season as well. The same year his supermax contract kicked in. Imagine that. The Wizards paying nearly $40 million a year to a superstar who wasn't playing a single minute. The whispers began. The worst contract in the league, the biggest albatross in basketball. Wall tried to silence it. He worked harder than ever, fought through rehab, and by the 2020-21 season, he looked ready again. But the Wizards gave up on him. They shipped him to Houston for Russell Westbrook, a straight swap of bad contracts. In Houston, John walked into chaos. James Harden demanding a trade, a roster stripped down for a rebuild, a team destined for the lottery. Wall still showed flashes of greatness, averaging 20 points and 7 assists in 40 games. He proved he could still hoop, but he wasn't the same. The blisters and speed was gone, the defense wasn't there, and his jumper never became consistent enough to carry him. With a $44 million salary and a $47 million option next year, his deal became untradeable. The Rockets made it clear they'd rather pay him to sit at home than let him take minutes from their young core. Think about that. A 5-time All-Star, once the face of a franchise, now paid almost $50 million to do nothing. That's not just a fall, that's a collapse. And it shows just how brutal the NBA can be.
Legacy. When John Wall signed that supermax in 2017, many critics said it was too much for a below-average shooter who flashed superstar talent but wasn't top 10 in the league. The truth is, the supermax was designed to help small markets keep their stars, but more often, it's backfired. It eats up cap space, forces teams into impossible choices: overpay their franchise guy or risk losing him for nothing. Wall became the poster child for that dilemma. But let's not forget who John Wall was at his peak. He was lightning in transition, a blur with the ball, blowing past defenders with his first step, creating shots for everyone else, and locking up on defense. At his best, his numbers were right there with pre-injury Derrick Rose and Russell Westbrook. To call his contract the worst of the century? That's lazy. Injuries and bad management doomed the Wizards, not Wall's effort or heart. If he'd stayed healthy after 2017, we might be talking about a first-ballot Hall of Famer. His career averages of 19 points and 9 assists, those are the same as Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas. And even now, as people clown him for making $44 million to sit, his story isn't finished. John Wall isn't done. If he finds the right team, the right role, he can still help a contender. He can still prove he belongs. Because his rise, his fall, and maybe his comeback remind us of how brutal and unpredictable this game really is. So what do you think? Is John Wall's career already over? Or can he still rewrite his story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and check out our other NBA stories. We've got plenty more legends, heartbreaks, and comebacks waiting for you.